Food bloggers, hi, how are you today? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Eat Blog Talk podcast. This is the place for food bloggers to get information and inspiration to accelerate your blog's growth and ultimately help you to achieve your freedom, whether that's financial, personal, or professional. I'm Megan Porta. I have been a food blogger for 13 years, so I understand how isolating food blogging can be. I'm on a mission to motivate, inspire, and most importantly, let each and every food blogger, including you, know that you are heard and supported. Here's a hot little topic to get you riled up or to make you feel a lot better. This is something we have not covered, I don't think, ever on this podcast, which is kind of amazing because it is a big deal and it's something that happens, unfortunately, fairly often to us food bloggers. Kathy Berget from Beyond the Chicken Coop joins me in this episode to talk about what to do when your blog images have been stolen or just used without your permission. If you've been blogging long enough, this has happened to you whether you know it or not. So Kathy talks you through some really simple steps about what to do, ranging from just ignoring it. There are cases when you probably should ignore when your images have been used without your permission, but most of the time, there's something that you can do about it. Kathy talks about a service she uses called Pixsy, Pixsy, and talks about how to use that, what they can do for you if your images have been stolen. Everything you need to know about this topic is in this episode. So I hope you aren't super overwhelmed by it, and I hope that you find it very helpful. It's a juicy one. This is episode number 578, sponsored by RankIQ. Eat Blog Talk is thrilled to unveil the Eat Blog Talk Accountability Group, an exclusive community made for food bloggers who crave accountability, focus, and connection. We understand that not everyone is ready to dive into the Mini Minds group or the Masterminds program. That is why we've crafted this special offering for bloggers like you who want that extra push toward their aspirations but aren't yet able to make the financial or time commitment. Here's what the Eat Blog Talk Accountability Group has in store for you for this low introductory price of $34 a month. This ongoing membership has its own private Slack channel. You will gain access to a dedicated channel facilitated by the community manager at Eat Blog Talk, Taryn Soley, for questions, insights, and collaboration. You will get weekly accountability check-ins so you can stay focused and motivated with those weekly check-ins in Slack to track and achieve your goals competently. You will have access to productivity focus sessions. Join these optional live Zoom sessions twice a week to boost your productivity by working alongside your peers and tapping into that collective energy. And you will get monthly group Zoom calls, replacing the former Clubhouse chats. Join these calls to connect, discuss current topics, share experiences, and celebrate achievements. Those calls will be hosted by me, Megan Porta, and I can't wait to see some of you there. If this sounds intriguing, head over to eatblogtalk.com/focus to sign up today. eatblogtalk.com/focus. Kathy is the author, photographer, recipe developer, and writer at Beyond the Chicken Coop, where she creates delicious home-cooked recipes utilizing what they grow and raise. Kathy is a former elementary school principal and has 3 grown kids, twin boys and 1 girl. Kathy and her husband live in the country on their own little farm. Kathy, so good to have you back on the podcast. How are you?
Hi, Megan. Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing really well. Thank you.
Yay. When was the last time we talked on the podcast? I can't remember.
Oh, it's been a few years.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look as well.
I'd have to go look, but it's been too long. So I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about what to do when your blog images have been stolen or used without your permission. I love this topic because it's like one of those little details we don't always talk about, right?
Right. And it's an unfortunate topic, but I think it's a necessary topic to talk about as well.
Yeah, very, very much agree. But before we get into that, do you have another fun fact to share with us?
Yes. So my fun fact is that I do not like peanut butter at all. And I never have.
That is so interesting. So I have another food blogger friend who doesn't like peanut butter, Kara from Sweetly Splendid. She's always like, I don't get it. It smells gross and it tastes disgusting. So does it just have like a weird smell to you?
Yeah, I don't like the smell of it, although I kind of overcame that when I had kids and had to make them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but I used to have nothing to do with it. And I asked my mom, I'm like, did I get sick when I was a kid on it? And she said, no, you just never liked it. So
I think you're one of the only humans to say that. I'm just trying to imagine a world without peanut butter as you're talking.
I wish that I did because I think it would make life easier in so many ways. Like a peanut butter jelly sandwich travels really well,
Yeah.
but a ham sandwich, you have to, figure out all these ways to keep it cold. So,
Right. Now, do you like other spreads like hazelnut, like Nutella?
yeah, I do. I really like almond butter,
Oh,
especially like with maple and salt in it.
oh yeah.
But I don't eat a ton of it, but I do enjoy that.
Interesting. So almond butter's good, peanut butter not good.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. I know.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is, right?
Right.
All right. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your blog, Kathy. Give us a little background on you and your blog.
Yeah. So my blog is called Beyond the Chicken Coop, and I started it in 2015, and it focuses on homemade recipes that I make for my family. And I utilize a lot of what we grow and raise on our little farm. So a lot of homemade from scratch recipes.
I love your blog. It's so pretty. Your photos are so beautiful. I'm looking at it right now. And are you still doing your podcast?
Oh, thanks, Megan. I put the podcast on hold last summer,
Okay.
and I haven't picked it back up again. And that was called Preserving the Pantry, and it focused on preserving foods of all kinds, canning, drying, freezing. And so right now it's still there, but I haven't worked on it for a year.
Yeah, I have this theory that people or food bloggers who started podcasts, even if they are on hold, are going to really benefit their businesses right now because of that. Because I feel like this is totally off topic, but I just want to say this. Don't you feel like the more well-rounded you are as a brand, like the more avenues you have and branches you have as a brand, like Google and everyone else sees you as more of an established powerhouse kind of brand / company? I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking about.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I think for me, I don't want to get rid of it because there's a good chance I could come back to it.
Yeah.
And there's so much about it I enjoyed, and it gave me a different avenue than the blog to reach different people and a different set of
Right.
people.
Yeah. Well, I hope you go back to it someday.
Oh,
But
thanks.
if not, it was valuable. I mean, I listened to your episodes and they were so good. I just loved what you put together there.
Oh, thank you.
Just a little side note. Okay, so thank you for all of that. And then you are going to talk to us today about what to do when your blog images have been stolen. So I guess just give us a little bit of a background on that. Did you have blog images stolen? How did you get interested in this topic?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, as I said, it's a necessary thing, and I've kind of just fallen into it. As food bloggers, it's such a hard job. We have so much that we have to do to prepare a blog post, let alone with, all the changes that already happen with like Google updates and algorithm updates and social media changes. And then on top of that, we have people that might steal our content. And I mean, like they use it without our permission to benefit themselves. I feel like food bloggers know what to do or are more familiar with when their posts are stolen and it's put up on another website. But when an image is used for a commercial business, like a restaurant or a market, or like a to-go menu or a grocer, those type of things, they're using our images so that they can sell something and so that their business is profitable from it. So that's a really big problem. And when I first started food blogging almost 10 years ago, I knew nothing about photography. And so I quickly learned as much as I possibly could. And somewhere along that journey, it was brought to my attention that a few of my images were beginning to be used by restaurants. And it would I would get like a direct message from either an employee or a former employee or a customer, sometimes another food blogger, and they would just send me a link and say, hey, your image is being used by this restaurant. And I'd go and I'd look and I'm like, oh my goodness, why are they doing that? And so when that first happened, I would reach out to whoever is using my recipe. Usually it was a restaurant, and I would either direct message them or send them an email if I could find an email. And I would say something like, you have used my copyrighted image without my permission. How are you going to resolve this issue? And I kind of put that open-ended statement there. And in the back of my mind, I always thought, oh, maybe they'll pay me. Maybe they're like, oops, sorry. Guess what? That never worked. But I had the hope that was there. And so sometimes I would get a message back and they would say, sorry, we took it down, or they would just take it down and not not address it. They would just take it down. Sometimes they would ignore it. Sometimes they would challenge me on it, like prove who you are, which I get because there's so much so many spammers out there anyway. And then sometimes they would even say, this is not your image, it's mine. I took the picture and I can prove it. And I just thought, wait, what? How can that be?
What? Are you kidding?
No. And I still have that happen today, even with some people that I have to contact directly. And it just floors me that, I mean, they obviously know that they didn't take the picture. So it just amazes me. But I didn't have any teeth in anything that I did. I didn't know what else to do beyond that. And so, but when I did contact the people and I said, you're using my copyrighted image, I think photographers, anybody who takes a picture, whether it's on your camera or on your iPhone or whatever you're using, you automatically have a copyright to that photo. You don't have to do anything to obtain a copyright. And so all of your images belong to you. Now, the Copyright Office has another level where you can register an image, and that makes a public record of your ownership, and it gives you just another layer of protection. You're actually issued a number with that picture and everything. And if you were to if you needed to take a case to file a lawsuit against a company, you could only do that if your photo has been registered. You could still seek licensing compensation for a photo that has been used, but if it was actually to go to litigation, it has to be registered. You can register a photo at any time, though. And so as long as it's done before you file a claim. But I think that's just important to know because a lot of people aren't aware that they have that copyright already, whether they've done anything to that picture or not. It's their picture if they took the picture.
Okay. So restaurants were using your images and like just taking them off your website and just putting them in their material.
Yep. So it was used in a variety of ways. And some of the people, like they would have it on Facebook and say, special of the day, beer battered fish. And they would list the price and the hours of their restaurant, but it would be my picture that they're using to draw people in. Now, some of those people that contact me back would say, just so you know, we didn't take your picture off of your blog. We found it on Google. Well, still my picture, and I feel like a lot of people are unaware that just because it's sitting on Google when they do an image search doesn't mean that they have the right to use that. So there's a lot of things we have to do to educate, I think, the public too, but that's a very slow process and probably a bigger battle than I can fight.
Yeah.
But and then I find images on websites on menus. A lot of to-go menus, like the delivery menus, have to be images that they have on their menu. And so that is quite rampant that you'll find a lot. I'll find a lot of my images on those like to-go menus. But I find them in like markets like fish markets or fruit markets. Even on Amazon, I have found them. Like if somebody's using, let's say, a mandolin, and then they have, they'll have like the little thumbnail pictures you can click through. Oftentimes one of those thumbnails, they'll use an image, and I have found several of those too.
Wow. So what if we don't know if our images are being stolen? Is there an easy way to determine if they are?
So there are a few ways to determine if there are. So you can go right to your own webpage, and I used to be able to do a right click and then search Google for this image and then search image source. Just about 2 weeks ago, my computer updated and it's slightly different now. So I have to right click on my image and save the image address or URL, and then go to a Google page and you click the little camera icon like you're going to search for an image, and you just paste your URL in there. It'll pull up your image, and then you can click on search image source, and it will pull up places that are using your image.
Oh boy.
Now, a lot of them are legitimate too. Like it'll be your own web pages that are showing up on there. It'll be Pinterest that is showing up on there, or your own Facebook page. So you have to go in and click them, but it's going to show you a lot of, it might show you the Facebook pages from restaurants using them. So I do find a lot in using that in that manner. And then I also just about 4 years ago came across an online company that helps me do this, and it's called Pixsy, Pixsy. And I know there's other companies that offer a similar service, but this is the one that I've been working with. So I'm only familiar with this one. But Pixsy is an online service that allows photographers, and it's any photographer, not just food photographers, but allows you to track your images and see where and how they're being used. So it really helps you find and fight image theft. And so you can upload your images directly into Pixsy, or you can link, like I link my Instagram account and it pulls my images in. And once they have your images, they start scanning the web and they flag every time it's found. It also, they try to flag it if it's being used in a commercial manner. And so you can go in and look and see exactly how it is being used. And you do have to do your due diligence, though, because just because you find a company using it doesn't mean that they are using it in a neglectful way, or at least how I consider it in an inappropriate way. So there was a cranberry picture that I have that a cranberry manufacturer grower was using. And when I went in to look at it, they had used a picture from my recipe for their cranberry webpage, but then they linked directly back to my recipe for people to go make it. So they were using my picture without my permission, but to me, it was in an appropriate way because they were linking back to me and sending me traffic from their website.
Oh.
So that was okay with that. So you have to go in and look at these and see where there are. The same thing with food bloggers. It'll often come up that I'll get another food blogger is using my image, but it's in a roundup post and they're using it in a way
right.
that, yeah, I'm totally okay with. So you always want to go in and look and see how is it being used? Is it using it in a way that is only benefiting the company for them? Are they using it as like a marketing technique? Like, hey, come here and eat this or buy this because here it is.
Right. So Pixsy, tell me more about that. So you sign up for it and then is it something that you have to pay for?
So Pixsy, you can start with a free.
Okay.
Pixsy is free to use, and they have different levels of services that you can use, but you can start free, which is a great way to test it out and see if it's a right fit for you or if it benefits you at all. And it's limited then on how many pictures you can upload, but it will start to screen those pictures. Or if you already found your picture on your own, you did a Google search, you can upload that picture directly and then file a case. And so once you have found a commercial business, so it needs to be a website that is commercial or a major publication or an institute or government agency are the ones that they will actually go and find. You can file a case on and they'll file licensing fees and try to get some sort of compensation for them using your image. File a case and then they do the rest of the work. And if they get compensation from a company for them using your image, Pixsy then takes half of that compensation. So if it was $400, they're going to keep $200 and I get $200. And to me, that's been fair because I was getting nothing before.
Food bloggers, let's take a quick break to chat about RankIQ. RankIQ is a powerful keyword research tool made just for you, for bloggers. You've heard me talk about this keyword research tool so much before, and I am going to keep talking about it because it works. Yes, it still works. The March edition of the HCU definitely had an impact on my organic traffic for my food blog, but it wasn't devastating and things are starting to climb back up. I so strongly believe that all of the high quality, niche-centric content I've spent the last 3 years publishing, so much of it from keywords that I found in RankIQ, is the reason I'm still afloat. Here is why RankIQ has helped. I've only ever searched for and written about keywords that are 100% relevant to my niche and brand. All of the keywords in RankIQ are low competition and high search volume, helping my content to head right to the top of searches. Yes, still. The RankIQ optimizer is the best and creates the most well-rounded posts. Check it out for yourself by going to rankiq.com. Now back to the episode. And it would be work for you to do that on your own, which is time and money lost, right? So if they're willing to do the work, then I'm totally with you. I would give them that $200, no problem.
Right. Well, and they also demand that the image be taken down. And if they're not successful in getting a case resolved, they also give you other tools that you can take down an image or file a complaint or things. But when it's coming from a more legal type, letters coming from a more legal type place rather than just myself, it has a little more weight to it as well.
Yep. So how does DMCA play into this? Is that what they do? Can you do this on your own? How do you do it?
You can do it on your own, and you can do it through Pixsy. It has some quick links that you can do it. You can also just go directly to Google and do it, file a DMCA. And it is really kind of a takedown issue. If Google finds that somebody is using your content without permission, they can make a strike against that web page, or it will not be found in search results. You can also go, if it's like monetized website or business, you can go to their ad network and file a case there.
Oh.
You can also use a web page like who is and type in the web address, and it will sometimes tell you who their host is. And if you can find their host, a lot of times it's blocked by like Cloudflare, so it's hard to track those down anymore. But you can find who their host is, and you can also send a takedown notice with the host, and they'll all address those.
Okay. I can see this being a rabbit hole. I remember back in the day when, I think Pinterest, people used to steal my stuff on Pinterest. They would take images from my blog and then create a new pin directing to their content. And oh my gosh, Kathy, I remember getting so mad. I would just I can't believe this person's doing this. And then I would find all of these other ones. I would spend 3 days just being so upset and requesting that everything be taken down. I can see this being the same, going down.
Yeah, totally. And I have to find a balance. I have to set myself some time aside and say, this is all I'm going to do it. It is helpful with Pixsy because they have my images and they'll send me a notification once a month of some flagged images. And so I'll go in and look at those. Every once in a while, I can't help it. And I'll just get on and I'll start doing a Google search of them. But it is a very negative space. And I get angry. Yeah, so I try not to spend too much time in there, and because I don't like that feeling. And so once I'm not there, I just have to let it go. And I can spend some time and then say, okay, I'm done. And I'll come back in a week or maybe a couple weeks and look again. But I try not to put too much time into that.
Yeah.
I think another thing you can do too is there's sometimes we just have to ignore when we find an image, and that might feel wrong, but there are some images that I find they're being used that I don't know what to do with. And so I just have to set them aside in my mind and say, I can't worry about this one. So there's some that I feel like people use your images as clickbait, and you click on it and it takes you and it quickly changes the website to something else. I don't want to spend any time on there because I don't know what's happening. And I don't even know where to begin, how to get rid of
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. This is what I was talking about with Pinterest. All of a sudden you're like, wait, where am I?
Yes. And then there's some, and instead of ending with a .com or whatever, it'll end with .tr or br or some couple letters from a different country. Yeah. And very weird. And you go there and I don't even get what they're trying to do. It'll have 50 pictures up of beer battered fish, all from different blogs, all with a price you can buy them, but there's no way somebody's buying those. And so I just have learned to not even go to look at those.
Away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So you do have to just kind of ignore some of these if you don't really want to get into there. But you're right. It is a huge rabbit hole that you start going down. But it's amazing how many businesses are using our images. I have found them on distribution sites for restaurants or grocery stores. You go in there and you look and you're like, wait, that's my image. Why are you using my image? And it seems to be never ending. Mm-hmm. And it's as easy as the business going in and clicking and, copying and pasting and putting it in there when we've done all this work to create an image, and that's all they have to do.
Yeah. I'm currently looking for little tasks for my teenage boys to do for my business because they're willing and able and wanting to earn money. Well, one of them is not. But anyway, this is something that they could do because I don't think they would get angry about it. They would just be like, XYZ, here's what I need to do. Whereas we, the people who create our blogs, and we feel so tied to our images and our content, we get angry and upset. But maybe having somebody else do this for us is a good route.
Yeah, at least to flag them for you and say, hey, I found these, go in and look and see now. And you're exactly right. And so, and it does take time and energy. And a couple of things to note, like if you do file a case with Pixsy, is the time frame can be kind of lengthy. It can be anywhere from several weeks to several months before that they find any resolution. And then sometimes this is frustrating to me, but sometimes they will actually decide that they're going to drop a case because they haven't been able to reach resolution. And I just think, no, this company's using my image. Don't drop it.
Yeah.
But their company and they've put all this time and resources in. And I guess, there's a tipping point for them of how much do we keep investing if we're only going to get this much money back?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a balance, right?
Yeah.
How much energy do I want to waste? How much time versus like how much do I want this to be right?
Yes. And when they do that, they give you a few resources of other things you can try, like a takedown notice or things like that. So again, then you have to decide, is that something you want to do?
How often do you get to the end of a resolution and you're like, okay, I'm happy. I'm happy with how this turned out?
So anytime there's a resolution, I'm going to be happy. And the pricing on Pixsy depends on many, many factors. But for me, it has ranged from a couple hundred to a couple $1,000s. And that to me is well worth it. But again, it takes some time, and sometimes it just is a matter of where they are with the process and how the contact is with the company that they're there. Once you have filed a case, Pixsy is in constant communication with you about, okay, here's where we are. We're gathering evidence, and they let you know what amount they are going after right away. Within Pixsy, when you're filing a case, I always just allow Pixsy to choose the amount of licensing fee. But if you had a set amount, you could put it in there. And if they agreed with it, then they will go after that as well. But I feel like that's their area of expertise. So I'm going to allow them to set that amount.
Okay.
And it's going to vary. When I first started, it was a lot less than where I am now. I feel like kind of your track record where they feel like what they can get is going to make a difference. But there's all sorts of variables there as well. So the more experience you have, you can put in information about what type of equipment and training you've had. If you've received any accolades or rewards for your photography, those all increase the value of your photography. If a photograph is registered, it's going to be worth a lot more money than if it's not. It's almost double the amount of money. And then also how that image is being used. So what size company is using it? Like, what is their reach? Where has it gone? And then how many times have they used it? I had one restaurant that would post their daily specials, and I went through and counted up. But sometimes I spend too much time doing this. I counted up on Facebook how many times they used an image of mine for ham and scalloped potatoes. And in a year, they used it 46 times.
What?
That's excessive. No,
That's
they
so
just, every week
excessive.
they had used us as a special. Sometimes it was in a collage. So anytime I find that information when I'm making a case, I include that in my information with Pixsy. They have like a little note section where you can type all that in.
Oh, wow.
I also always screenshot the picture and their website, the web address, and I include that. They do the same thing, but they also have a lot of cases. And so if I can narrow it down for them and show them where it is, I've not only captured the evidence, so in case it disappears, I've got it, but then it also gives it for them of, yes, it's there.
Wow. So a lot can go into this, a lot of forethought and research. Do you have any other tips for people just getting started with this venture?
Exactly. Well, I think it's important to go and look, but not to obsess over it.
Yeah.
And then decide how you're wanting to do it. If it's a larger company, and sometimes I'll see this in different Facebook groups with food bloggers where they're like, I can't believe I just found this. And not knowing what to do is the hardest way to go about this. And so Pixsy they have even an onboarding call you can have. You can try this out to see if it works, or check out another agency or company and see if that works for you. A couple of things you can do as well is I always add watermark to my photos, and that does not increase the value at all. But if a company takes your watermark off or alters it or covers it, it has just increased that value of that photo, which is amazing. And Pixsy asks that once you have filed a case that you don't have contact with the company unless they reach out to you and say, is Pixsy really representing you? Because there's so many scammers out there.
Yeah.
Some people just need to verify that. And so I always, respond back, yes, they're a company that's helping me go after companies that are using my photos without images. And some of the emails that I get from companies are just amazing because they think that our value of our photos is worth nothing. And sometimes they'll just go on and on like, are you kidding me? $1,200 for this picture of eggs? That is ridiculous. And I just feel like, well,
Oh,
let's see. I bought the food, I
right.
made the food, I styled the food, I bought the camera equipment, I, shot the picture, I edited the picture, and all you did was copy and paste.
And not to mention, like, taking courses to hone your photography skills and all of the years of skill building okay, yeah, I'm getting riled up now too.
I know. We're not going to go there, but yeah, I think you can visit it, but don't stay there. Don't stay in that
Yeah.
negative place.
Yeah.
And the other point, it's like if you think that photography is that easy, you could have just gone and taken your own picture.
Right. Do it
You don't
yourself. Yeah.
need to just take mine too. And then if for some reason, I think when you're filing a case with Pixsy, you want to do your due diligence to make certain that you've really looked at it, that it's a legitimate case you want to file. Because if you decide to cancel that case, Pixsy could charge you depending on how much time and resources
okay.
they've already invested in it. So you want to be really careful there. And I've only ever considered one time dropping a case, and it was just recently. And it was somebody from a restaurant had contacted me via Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger. I guess they're the same thing, and was verifying that I was using Pixsy, and her sob story just kept going and going and going. And even though I wasn't interacting with her, she kept sending me things, and I didn't know. I'm just learning. We're a startup. We're barely making it. This would bankrupt us. I'm a single mom. I might lose my job.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's exactly what I was feeling. So I was just like, oh man, do I really want to be the cause of somebody losing their job? Well, I went back in and looked at that webpage, and they had taken my image down. And so for this particular one, it was their entire menu was up on their webpage, and it had photos of each one. But then as I started looking at the other images that they had for all the other items on their menu, I started just looking at those and like, okay, these are not their own images. They all had their own, they all looked different in style. Yeah. So I did a reverse Google search on those. And of course, they came back to other sources than their own. So they didn't take them. So I thought, you know what? She hasn't learned anything.
Right.
I'm not going to be the cause of her demise just because it's my image, but I have to be careful.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that you never know who's on the other side. Like, it could be someone totally innocent, having no clue. They just Googled, they have no knowledge about the fact that you can't steal images. Or it could be someone who's really deep into scamming and pulling the wool over your eyes. Like, you just never know who's on the other side.
Yeah, you're totally true on that. Yeah. And I will also get a lot of people that will contact me and say it was a college intern and they didn't know any better. So they always deflect the blame. But they're often the ones who have removed that watermark. So I think they probably do know more than the average person, because that's their life, is this whole online world anyway.
Right. I have a question about the watermark. So I noticed that you put your watermark at the very bottom right. So it's pretty small. Now, if somebody takes your image and then just crops that off, can the value of whatever they have to pay go up for that?
Yep. Yeah, because they've removed the watermark.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so I've had them blur it out. I've had them put something else on top of it or an overlay. All those things are removing the watermark.
Yeah. Is there anything else we need to know, Kathy? I feel like this gives us a really good picture of where to start and kind of what to do, but what are we missing?
Yeah, I think it's really good to just be aware of and go and look. And just because it's happening to me and to other bloggers doesn't mean it's happening to everyone, but know what you need to do if it is happening and where to go. And I'm happy to help anybody if they're having questions about it or are not even sure where to get started. They can always reach out and let me know, and I'll be happy to help them with that. I just think, like you were active in going after people that were copying your Pinterest images and redirecting them to different sites. To me, it's the same thing. It's like one little bite at a time makes a difference. And so I think we just have to work our way down it. Yeah.
Yep. And it can be overwhelming, especially if you've been doing this for a long time like you have. But yeah, I like the one bite at a time analogy, just little bites and you're going to make a difference. And I also like what you said earlier about not getting obsessed, because it's very easy to do that. So keep that in mind too.
Right.
Well, thank you, Kathy. This was super valuable. I think this will be a good resource episode for a lot of people who run across this in their blogging careers. So we really appreciate you.
Absolutely. I hope it's helpful to others.
Yes, I know it's going to be. Do you have either a favorite quote or words of inspiration to leave us with today?
Yes. So I went and searched for something specifically on staying positive because I think that's really important, especially after we've maybe been in a negative space with looking for this stolen images. And so I found a quote from Dennis S. Brown, who's a motivational speaker. And it says, "The only difference between a good day and a bad day is your attitude." So at the end of this, you have to just decide, I'm done with that, and it's not going to affect the rest of my day, and it's going to be a good day.
Oh, I love it. That's so perfect. Okay, we're going to put together show notes for you, Kathy. I was just trying to figure out the name of those because you've been on before. So if you want to peek at the show notes, we'll put all the resources we talked about in this interview inside the show notes. You can go to eatblogtalk.com/Beyond the Chicken Coop 2. So tell everyone where they can find you. If they do want to reach out, if they have issues that they want to run by you, where can they find you?
Yeah. So my website is beyondthechickencoop.com, and you can email me directly at Kathy with a K at beyondthechickencoop.com, and that's also can be found on the website. And then my social media is all Beyond the Chicken Coop.
Great. Well, thanks again, Kathy, and thank you for listening, food bloggers. I will see you next time.
Thank you, Megan. Bye.
If you enjoyed this topic, you'll also love the episode I recommend in the show notes. Click on the episode description to find the link. Thank you, and I will see you next time.